And we are live. Hey, Alexander. I know the live says it started a little bit earlier. We are starting it now, however. And hopefully we still get some people that are going to come in ultimately here. Just wanted to start off this live by saying that I hear more and more guys and gals talking about AI Max and how ultimately LLMs or AI-based search engines, whether you're talking about Google's own Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever, is going to take over Google search ads. And generally speaking, this is a quick word about this again. I have access to a few dozen different clients' analytics data and CallRail and whatnot. And from what I've seen in the analytics data is less than 1% of the people who are turning into leads and sales for us, for our clients, is coming from ChatGPT itself. And, you know, for that matter, it's also, we're not doing a lot of AI search engine marketing via Google yet, because with AI Max, you're having to get a lot of waste, pay for a lot of waste to get shown in the AI-based search results. And generally speaking, it's not really worth it, in my opinion, to run all that waste just to get the extra little bit of placement there. It's something you can and should do once you eventually plateau your results using all other low-hanging fruit methods. But generally speaking, and even then in our tests, it's not that valuable overall. The amount of, you might be able to get a 10-20% more sales using AI Max in combination once you've maxed everything else out. And before then, you're just going to end up spending a lot of money on waste to get a few extra sales, and it's basically not worth it. But for that matter, going back to the ChatGPT and the whole deal on that, everybody kind of is saying, like, I see a lot of gurus saying that, Google Ads is going to go away, including, by the way, also Gary Vaynerchuk is one big name saying, but I see a lot of other guys, smaller guys, saying it as well. Generally speaking, my general idea or input on this is to say that, you got also, by the way, you got other competitors out there. Perplexity is one other AI-based search engine, but I'm hard pressed to believe, at least at this point, looking at everything that's going on, to think and or see that ChatGPT itself is going to take out Google's $1 trillion ad business. Now, I know everything has an end. Even the same thing could have been said about Yahoo when Google came around. Oh, how is Google going to take out Yahoo? Is with the first mover advantage and all the user base that's there already. I mean, anything could be taken out anytime with no money if the idea is just good enough. That said, this is, in my opinion, first of all, it's a different situation with Yahoo and Google, because Yahoo wasn't near the business Google is now. And more so, Yahoo's business did not have that much or big of a moat around it. They had a lot of users, but their technology wasn't that sophisticated. Their system could be ripped off or replicated by other people fairly easily. Whereas Google's main advantage, you got to remember, is the data that they've acquired and can afford to pay for. So Google not only has all their search engine data and their users, but they also have all the data from Chrome browser. They have all the data from Google Analytics. They have all the data from all their apps, Google Maps, so on and so forth. They have all their data from Android. They have all the also data because they have massive amounts of money to invest in this. They buy data from third parties, massive amounts of data. So, if you have a, pregnancy tracking app, Google, if it's big enough, will just pay you to access the data from that app. So they know where you're at in your pregnancy cycle. So they know how to better target you as far as an advertiser, or if you use that app, that is. So when you combine all this, yes, you could say ChatGPT. Hi guys. Hello, Sam. You combine all that, you could say, though, ChatGPT has a lot of user data because all these millions of people are using it. In my opinion, it's not nearly even close to the amount of data that Google has itself. And they have much more sophisticated algorithms to match, because they've had a 20-year head start to match consumer intent of what they would like to buy and what would actually get them to buy. Whereas ChatGPT basically has a good engine itself in recommending information. They have no data, or practically no data, if you will, or little data on that itself. Product customer matching. And they have a lot of time. They have a lot of catching up to do there. So all that is to say, because Google has its own AI-based search results now that seems to be getting better by the day, just like their spell checker had, in 2010 when they came out with it roughly. And their spell checker is the best in the world because they have their most user data and the best algorithms and the most money to work out the best spell checker. That is, when you go and search something on Google, it knows the spelling of whatever it is that you were searching for. I don't think that ChatGPT is going to have a chance, even when they come out with something to compete with Google in terms of advertising, to compete with them. Now, that said, also, one interesting thing that's going on right now that I'm looking into is ChatGPT, it seems like, to get their feet wet in the advertising space, because right now they're losing shitloads of money. That's the other thing, is they're linking up with the web portals itself, Shopify being one. Which I see what's going to happen is Shopify is going to have ChatGPT based advertising enabled through the Shopify backend when you log in. And that'll be the way that they start out doing it, because it'll be the easy way for them to get the right campaign and product data, given that nobody's going to want to spend more than 5 minutes setting up a ChatGPT campaign just for a tiny bit of traffic. And then that'll be their foothold. And it'll be interesting to see how they take that foothold and build upon it. I just think Google's going to keep improving their system every day, and it's going to hit a critical mass in 12, 24, 36 months that nobody's going to really want to use ChatGPT anymore. It's going to get good enough, and then the ChatGPT is going to go on the wayside, because Google has too much data, too much money, and they're improving their system. And I just think they're going to win. They're going to have, because whoever has the most quality product is going to win. And ChatGPT, I don't see how they're going to have the resources to create a better product than what Google is going to have. Long story short, and I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, as I manage advertising. I just legitimately don't see that. Right now, they have a good stronghold on offering people free information and doing it at a loss. They have no history or proven capability to recommend products in such a way that advertisers are going to want product placement, and then doing the product placement well, that's a whole different story. So we'll see what happens. So the question you had, just to get started here, from last time, I'm still at the market research phase, and I found a market where the top competition don't use a CSS service and are paying 20% premium on Google Shopping ads. Just trying to think here how to answer this. What is a CSS service? Maybe you can, I see here. It's an advertising partner. Oh, okay. Got it. If you told me today that you can give me a 50% discount on traffic, and that was my only edge, that's not going to really be enough to take out entrenched players very easily. You do this by having a better ad / funnel more than anything else. That's my general opinion, especially with a 20% advantage. It's basically nothing. So I'm going to try to find a niche where there's a lot more of an advantage I'm going to have than that. Ideally, that their funnel is just shitty in terms of user experience. I mean, and there's two ways to compete, right? There's one, you can have a better product or service legitimately, or you can have a better funnel than them. And I have the advantage because I got 20 years of experience. I can usually just focus on the funnel side of things. But those are your two ways that you can compete. And for that matter, if your product or service is better, it has to be obviously better. And usually that only applies to product, right? Because you can look at the packaging of the product and you can tell it's better just instantly. Whereas a service, it's really hard to explain it's better unless you're getting into like 200% money back guarantees and all this other stuff. So the general rule of thumb, as I've heard before, is don't get into a market unless you can legitimately say that your product or service, how you're offering it, or the offer itself is 10 times better than your competition. Because that's the type of advantage you're going to need when you start out with little to no money and your competition has millions to spend to be able to take them out in the end. So whether you want to do that from the advertising side or make the product or service that much better, that's up to you. Flamin' Anvil. Or set limit above 50 pounds or pick 30 to 50 best items. I'm not quite sure what your original message wasn't typed out correctly. Think, grow, successful. Hey, what's up? You said you wrote about a suspension. You wrote to me about a suspension for acceptable business practices. Mind explaining how you typically handle it in the process of working with you? So the main thing that I do that's different than what somebody else is going to do is just really down to the level of support access I got with Google. If you're not to say you are or aren't, but if you're a nobody when it comes to Google, you get relegated to really shitty levels of support, like to the point where you get an email only support channel through something that's going to be giving you an automated response, and or maybe some guy in India that doesn't care, and you may be able to go through that channel and get it to be worked out. Maybe you can. If you can't and you hit a roadblock there, then you could contact me, and I've got the upper levels of support where I can get answers on things. That's where specifically we're going to have add value to you, because we can call them, we can chat with them, and it all just is predicated mainly on the amount of spend that you have. The more you spend, the better support you get. We have the advantage as an agency, even though you're not spending a lot, because we can use the MCC level spend to get, to where we could speak to a real human for you on your behalf, basically. Flamin' Anvil. I mean, should I list everything to let Google learn? They already know the products, or pick items high enough price to make a profit. So you're asking basically, essentially, it sounds like if you have like 50 items, or sorry, you have, let's say 1,000 items to market, should you pick the best 30 to 50? And my answer is yes, if you have pre-existing product data. So my favorite strategy is to go into my store backend and pick the top 10% of the sellers at the beginning and just run them until I'm making a profit, and then add in other ones after I'm already making a profit from those, because it'll scale up much quicker. My profitability will scale up much quicker. That said, if you had no data and you're wondering, should I start with 30 or of the 1,000 just arbitrarily? Generally speaking, I don't really do that myself. I'm going to let Google just kind of run through the 1,000 really quick, see what's getting a high click-through rate, and then just pick the 30 on their own, kind of, if you will, on their own. That makes sense. Otherwise, how do you know you picked the right 30? There's really no advantage to just arbitrarily picking 30 when the system can just rattle through the 1,000, at least on a click-through rate basis, see what people are interested in, and then just go with those. Ahmed, hello, thanks for the amazing sauce. Yeah, no problem. Trying my best here. How to learn PPC to get a remote job. So anymore, the dream, I don't know if you're from America or not, but the dream is starting an agency or getting a remote job so you can move out of the US, which I 100%, I mean, that's kind of like how you win now, because you don't have to make a fortune. You can just live in a place where it's cheap and you live like a king. Way easier to do that than it is to get a mid six-figure paying job in the US and where you're going to live what it takes to live like a king anymore. Now, for me, I'm going to, if I had to do it all over again, I would just, instead of a job, certainly, I would find a niche and then just go into that niche. High dollar drop shipping is what I would pretty much pick now. I would find something, I'd become a product expert on it. I would throw up a site marketing those products and then advertise it on Google search, and then do a great job doing phone sales for people that inquire about that product. Ideally, something that's going to be priced around $5,000, $10,000 a unit. And then in order to get the product to sell, you just reach out to a vendor in that space and ask them if they would do drop shipping for you. It's pretty simple. If you're going to get a regular job, that in and itself is tough, because at least if you're going to do it in the US or outside the US, because companies have policies against outsourcing to having their employees leave the country. If you want to do a remote job in the US, you could move, for instance, out to in the middle of a cornfield, like basically where I was from originally, and arbitrage that way. And if you're going to get a remote job, because of it's harder to trust people remotely, it's going to take more experience. And how do you get the experience? Well, when I started, I had to work for free. I literally had a business partner from college that started something up after college, and I had to work for free. I was like, just cut me in on part of the revenue and I'll do whatever you want. And then that worked. I mean, if I was trying to get experience all over again, that's what I would do. And for all practical purposes, once you get the experience, you're not going to want a job anyway, because once you know, at least if you're talking about PPC here, which I think you are, then once you know how to do PPC, you don't need a job. You can just do drop shipping on your own, or you can get clients or whatever. You don't need to work with an agency per se, even though I'm not knocking it, but it's easier to literally get into the market, is what I'm saying, by working for free for a piece of the revenue at a startup, helping them with their marketing, maybe not even just PPC, and then using your experience to start your own thing after that. Someone special. Thanks for the answer. No problem, buddy. Think Growth Successful. Thanks for letting me know about the suspension. Would it be okay if I submit the first appeal and then proceed with you if it fails? Yeah, I mean, I would 100% recommend doing that. There's no reason hiring me unless you fail. I don't want to take money from you for doing something that you could easily do on your own. Erin, for a fresh account with catch-all, feed-only, PMAX, and branded search setup, do you think having demand gen for specific product page testing would be efficient in terms of early conversions? Apparel niche. Let's see here. So demand gen is going to work better. So like a lot of people will tell you, for instance, PMAX works better once you get a certain amount of conversions in the account. That is true, even though I don't follow that philosophy. I just do PMAX right away with a feed only setup. if we're talking about e-commerce, I don't use PMAX for non-e-commerce because it runs too sloppy. But when you're talking about demand gen, it works a lot better once you have conversion data in the account already. So once you start to plateau your results out on PMAX/search, add the demand gen and then it'll work a lot better than starting out with it right away. Generally speaking, it takes a little bit more runway to get it working, more so than with search anyway. So therefore you would want to wait until you need it so you have money to finance the warming up of it. And then once you do the demand gen campaign, do it. Your idea of doing it for different products individually is a good idea, because then you could be a lot more relevant and your targeting can be a lot more relevant. Erin, again, no other traffic source except for Google, by the way. Yeah, I mean, just start with, like, my typical protocol is you start with, if you're talking about product, feed only PMAX, get that working. Take the search terms that are working from the feed only PMAX, start search campaigns up, targeting those terms individually on an exact match basis. Once that kind of gets slowed down or you got that on the rails, then you can start in with your demand gen. Then get into Bing, then get into your Facebook, usually in that order. And by the time you get to Facebook, you're going to have so much data coming into your site. The Facebook will also work well. Owls live in trees. Corey, what do you do if a huge percentage of your PPC is being spent on people who are already engaged with the brand? At least if you're talking about Google Ads, what you can do is you can select the box, mainly bid for, I forgot the exact verbiage how it's phrased. It's not exactly this, but prefer to bid on new customers. That feature works pretty well if let's say you're a big brand like Zumba. And when most people are looking for that, they're already have done business with somebody, and then you're getting all these people who are just reordering to click on your ad. You don't want that. And that will weed it out real well. That's the best way that I know of. And for, other ads on other networks, it's suppression audiences, uploading your customer list / email list / phone number list, and use it as a negative. You technically can do that with search campaigns as well. Mustafa, hey, what's up, man? Chuck Russell, can you explain the blurbs when you say, ask me about white label and or affiliate programs for PPC? On our video description. So, okay, guys, I know this may sound self-serving or like bullshit, but it is what it is. When you're talking about trying to make money with clients with PPC, I mean, for the most part, if you know how to sell and get clients, that's the main value that you have. Getting somebody to do the work should be an afterthought. If you can find to get clients, you'll make more money quicker focusing on what the hard part in the business is, which is to get clients and doing the work. That is, if you know somebody who knows how to get results. Well, that in itself is not easy, but when our agency is set up to get guaranteed results for clients anyway, why build a team that can get guaranteed results when we do it already? And we can give you, a good chunk of the revenue, and we'll just do the work. We'll keep our part and you keep your part, and you just focus on selling. Ultimately, we usually pay out, it's like 20% of the reoccurring revenue that we generate from a client if you refer clients to us. Usually people don't do a residual like that. We do. And we offer free proposals / audits. And we also offer a guarantee. So as a part of our proposal, we're going to tell the prospect you refer to us what they're going to get on their campaign at minimum upfront, which is generally speaking focused on increasing in profits / sales. And we give them also an 8-quarter projection of their future results, of which a guarantee is a part of that. And then you get that, you present that to the client. This says, okay, this is what you should get over the next 8 quarters. Here's what part is guaranteed. That is, we're going to at least get you this first 50, 100%, whatever it is up front boost. There's no fees until that boost hits or that you get that minimum result. And then here's the fee starting moving forward after that point. And that's kind of like how we do our sales anyway. We're going to do all the sales for you. You're getting that 20% basically just by bringing us somebody who wants to work with us, and we'll do the rest. It's just literally a name, if you will. Mustafa, for Microsoft ads, I started ads, but getting very few impressions. Junk car industry. Should I do manual bidding like Google Ads in the beginning? Yeah, you should do manual bidding. Make sure you have your tracking set up. If you have any, I just made a video that I'm going to be coming out with. There's a lot of spam there. You may want to look into a software called Basin to try to filter out the spam there if you're getting like junky form submissions. You should also do sales tracking to weed out the bad leads eventually that way, but that takes a long time to do that. But yeah, manual bidding to get the impressions up initially is what I would also say. And I've done work in that space before. You can get a lot out of Google by itself. I would think that's the type of niche where Microsoft you're gonna struggle with it. I've never did it Microsoft in that niche, just Google, and we were getting a ton from Google by itself. So I don't know how much you're gonna get out of Microsoft specifically, but the general rule is if Google works, Microsoft will. The only question is how much, and it can be as little as 5-10%, and it can be as much as half, depending on what niche you're in. Someone special to you. How much does a 30-minute consultation cost right now, and how do you price it on who is asking? So first of all, I don't pick favorites or, try to gauge somebody's budget and then price appropriately. In fact, I don't think that's really fair. Hey, you look like you got money. Why don't we charge you 3 times as much for consultation? I don't actually recommend anybody doing that. In fact, I don't think that's even legal technically. But no, we charge like $295 for a 30-minute consultation, of which I know that sounds like a lot. But when you're talking about doing a big campaign, I can tell you at least with 70% accuracy most of the time, whether that campaign is likely to be profitable or not, and how long it's going to take to get profitable, and how much money you're going to need to make it profitable, and so forth. So if you're planning on spending thousands on a campaign, just running it past me real quick to let you know like what to expect or whether you're just wasting your time, it's a really good investment. Because I see people all the time even that come in and they even get a consultation and they're like, I'm like, you wasted your time on that. And yeah, and if they would have just asked me initially, they would have thrown $5,000 at something that was a waste of time. But anyway, that's what it is. And generally speaking, most questions that you would have can get already handled in that 30-minute time frame. Urin, thanks, Corey. No problem. Think, grow, successful. When you do live audits, can you show how you would find new profitable keywords? So the live optimization series is starting up anytime now. We've got our volunteers. We're just setting a date for the first one now. So that'll be happening anytime now. But ideally, I'll keep that in mind when we have our first one, see if I can start that. I definitely recommend watching my videos about keyword research. You can search for keyword research or finding keywords on the search bar on my channel homepage. And if you can't find it, just let me know in the comment section or on Discord, and I'll point you to the relevant videos there where I break my particular strategy down in detail. Jay, nice to meet you. How do you stop or filter spam on form fills to avoid firing conversions behind the honeypot strategy? Actually, I just mentioned just a second ago. Basin, BASIN, is the new software / tool that we have to do this now. Because there's so much money in form spam that when these methods come out, they work great for a while, and then this damn bastards work around them again. Then you got to come up with a new method. Then they find out how to do that, how to work around that. So for the time being, and I think actually with this method, it probably will last. basin, they'll have something where when somebody fills out the form, what you do is you program the form to redirect it to a URL. And once the user goes to the URL, they go through a bunch of checks. And of which this basin software has like a repository to know if a user is fake or real. And if they look like not a real user based upon it being flagged as spam, maybe perhaps from another client, then it doesn't let you get to the form thank you page that you would normally want to redirect them to. So it just never gets to the pixel itself. And that works really good to the point where you should be able to get 100% effectiveness out of reading out spam in that case. And it's really cheap too. We're talking about $6 a month for a basic plan. So highly recommend you check that out. That's basically the answer you're looking for already. Mustafa, how to make it so only thumbs up form leads are submitted to Google Ads by CallRail integration filters only for calls. That is there's the advanced settings. Basically, there's a setting in there that lets you decide how the conversion data is sent. I don't have a step-by-step guide I can give you here on the spot, but you could decide when the conversion data gets sent. And I believe you kind of know about that already, but that is definitely possible. If you need some help, I recommend asking their support, and they'll tell you. They won't tell you or can't or whatever. Message me in Discord, and I'll try to get you on the right track. Dr. Cause, forensic detectors. Entering Europe market and UK, how would you arrange your PMAX campaign? By country groups, income per capital countries, etc.? So I know this is probably not the answer you want here, but I would highly recommend not using PMAX for that starting out. You're going to get a lot of waste traffic that way. Now, the UK Europe being less competitive overall, it may still actually be profitable. That said, it's still going to be a lot more efficient running regular search campaigns for yourself there. Nevertheless, PMAX is just a great. Google loves recommending that because it gives them a way to sell a lot of inventory, ad inventory that nobody wants, which is why they push it so hard. So, I mean, you can go ahead and do it if you want. If you absolutely were hell-bent on doing it, then I would definitely, at the very least, at the country level, I would set up the PMAX and maybe even services. So if you have 5 different flavors of services, I would do 5 for each country, something like that. If you're going to do search campaigns, by the way, it would be the same. So I would break it out the same way. Chuck Russell, thank you for your answer. Yeah, no problem, buddy. Hop to the top. Hey, what's going on? Nice to meet you. 15 and Eric. Hi. When we will start with the live optimization? So I was looking for 3 volunteers in which I would have had time to look at the account, get access, that kind of thing. I've got it all done now. I'm working with my assistant to pick a date to schedule the live, and then I'll be firing out an email saying it'll be at this time and date, and then we're going to be good. So this week, we will have that email fired off, and you'll know exactly. So by the time we have this next live, you'll already know when that's going to be. It's going to be done through StreamYard, which is what I'm on right now. And on StreamYard, there was a question asked already. Do you need to be on camera in order to be a part of these live optimizations on our live optimization series? And that is not required. So if you got an ugly mug, in other words, and you don't want to be on camera, but you want your campaigns optimized, that's perfectly fine with me. We don't need that in order to do these live optimizations. You can be anonymous for all I care. You can not give us your real name. None of that. I don't care. As long as you're able to share your account and we can do a screen sharing, which is what will also be possible and doable through StreamYard, then we're good already. So, Urin, What should be the ratio of budget to SKU count for the feed-only PMAX listing group? So yeah, this was similar to the question that was asked before. To kind of rephrase what I was kind of mentioning before. So, I mean, I haven't really tested this fully to give you a really detailed, drilled in answer as to what the benefit would be of, let's say you had 1,000 items to market and sell. Should you start with only marketing 30 in that PMAX feed only setup versus all 1,000? My answer before was, if you have pre-existing data on which ones are the top sellers, go with the 30 top sellers at first, make money from that, and then expand to the rest, because you'll make money sooner, much sooner than you would otherwise. If you have no idea which products are going to do the best, you're literally starting from scratch. It's a company just started up yesterday. Well, starting with 30 items when you really don't know which ones are going to sell, that in and itself isn't really helping you, because Google's going to do a really good job taking the 1,000, running them, see which ones get a high click-through rate and focus on those. So, and it doesn't cost much to run through all 1,000 items, at least from the perspective of finding out which may have a good click-through rate and focusing on the top 30 versus you picked the wrong 30. You're like, shit, we're not getting any results. But really, if you would have just put the 1,000 in there, it would have found the 30 that work fairly quickly. So my gut feeling is you start with all 1,000, no matter what your budget is, basically, and you just let the system figure it out versus just arbitrarily picking some random items. Now, I know your kind of a question also was like, well, how much budget do you need if I have 1,000 items, let's say? And that varies a little bit by niche because your cost per click is going to vary. Generally speaking, though, again, I don't think you have to worry about a certain minimum budget. What I always tell people more so is invest what you can afford to lose. If you can afford to invest, let's say $10 a day for the next 12 months until the campaign's profitable on paper, well, then that's what you can invest. If it's $5 a day, go with 5. If it's $2 a day, go with 2. Do what you can afford to go with and where you can invest it and assume it makes no profit and you could keep it going for a while. Like when you're going to make a car payment, you're not expecting the car to make you a return, so you're okay with XYZ dollars per month. That's how you should look at when your investment into that campaign. Someday it will be profitable. Will it take 3 months? Will it take 15 months? Who knows? It depends on the level of competition in your market. Of course, the more you spend, the quicker it's going to get to profitability. But at the same time, you can only invest so much per month. You only got so much resources. Go with as much as what you can afford to invest, knowing that it's going to take a certain amount of spend cumulatively to get to a certain level of data before it will be profitable. And for that matter, hypothetically speaking, if you had less items, it's going to collect more data on those items quicker and get to profitability quicker. That is true, but it also assumes you pick the right 30. You see where the issue comes into play there? So if you pick the 30 that will work great or fairly good, then you are going to do better marketing only 30. But that assumes you know which 30 to market. It's like saying if you were trying to get a date and you knew the 3 girls that would agree to go on a date with you and you just asked those 3 girls, it would save you time. Well, how do you know which 3 girls it is? You don't know the 3 until you've already asked 100 of them, right? It's just the same idea. Let's see here. Uh, 15 and Eric again. Is it okay? I can be on camera if you prefer it. iOS. Okay. Yeah. But like I said, I mean, ideally, I would like you to be on camera because obviously people are going to connect more with the story that you have about what you're trying to do if they can see your facial expressions and so forth. Just like, anything like, imagine going to an attorney and you didn't ever show your face. The attorney it's only going to pick up so much looking at you, and then the audience is only going to pick so much up by only hearing your voice ultimately. So, but that's up to you. I just wanted to make it to the point where it's like I'm a pragmatic, practical person. Is it required for me to get you results? No, it's not. Does it make better content if we do get you on there? Yes, it does. But at least for now, until I have, let's say, 500 people all wanting a live optimization, it makes no sense to be forcing people to get on, show their face on camera. Maybe eventually we'll do that as like kind of like a, hey, well, you know, we kind of want you to do that now. We'll see where it goes. For now, we're not going to make that a requirement. Dr. Cos, thanks for the answer. I am a pure play brand product e-com, so I was going to do Max shopping only. I'll add search also. Thanks. I forgot what that term pure play brand means. I've heard that term before, but I've not used it myself. Being a marketing guy, it seems kind of wrong for me to not know what that is. Pure play brand. Pure play brand is a company or investment focused exclusively on a single product, service, or industry, offering deep specialization and simplified analysis, contrasting with diversified conglomerates. Wow, that's a kind of a long answer. So from what I take about it is it's just like a refined niche, or a fancy way to say it, like a smaller refined niche is what I take from it. Generally speaking, though, to say that on e-commerce, it's always about the more general niche you're in, the more money you're going to need to get into it, because there's going to be more money in that market. There's more customers, more money involved, and the people in it are making more, and they've got more to smash you. If you have less money, you want to pick a more refined niche, because there's very likely very little competitors, and the competitors that they're not investing as much to make it work. So, and then with that, on top of it, you're going to get a higher conversion rate when somebody looks like you're a specialist. So if you want to sell fireproof nails, let's just give a hypothetical here, and you have a site that's fireproofnails.com, people are going to want to naturally do business with you because you're a specialist now. The problem with though is even if you nail that niche, you might be able to only make $500,000 a year in revenue and $50,000 a month and a year in profit by winning in that niche. And you did all this work to win, and woohoo, I make an average income. Like, you know, that's the downside of it. So what I've always kind of mentioned before is you should, if you're not starting out with a lot of experience and a lot of money, you should start with the niches where you don't have to be very good. Make your money, then parlay your money into another site that has potentially, you know, a higher total addressable market. So instead of being able to, when you were number one, make $500,000 a year, you can make $5 million. It's really the more practical way to go about doing it. Because if you go after the big guys, then you may not be able to win. And $5 million a year in those type of niche e-commerce markets, those are very easy to win still. That said, if it's 20 years ago and I'm totally wet behind the ears and I'm trying to get started, I'm going to pick the smallest of the small niche because I absolutely know nothing. And I just want something to give me a base income before I get into something that's even somewhat competitive. So I don't know what your experience level is. 15 and Eric's. Okay, so I'll be on camera. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I appreciate that. Mustafa, thank you for the niche video, man. I love it. Yeah, I'm glad that you liked it. I finally came out. 15 and Eric. It would be my premiere. Yeah, well, you know, I also don't get to see my subscribers. I haven't seen any of you guys face to face, so it'll be interesting to see on these lives what some of you guys look like. I really have no idea. This has been a one-way thing. Hamza, Hi, what's up? Dr. Kaz, just meant product, no services. Oh, okay. So going back to the original point, brand, pure play brand product is just, you were saying that you sell products, not services. By the way, just as a quick side, I know you didn't ask this or whatnot, but should you market products or services? Which one's easier? If you're going to try to make pay-per-click work, and assuming you didn't have a niche nailed down yet, what do you pick? Services, people always will mostly going to tell you is better when you're starting out and you don't have as much money because you don't need inventory. E-commerce is easier to make money because there's a barrier to entry because you need inventory. At least if you're not doing drop shipping, right? Because if you do drop shipping, that totally changes the game and can make you get into an easy niche without needing the inventory, which is a great middle ground, which is not that hard to win at all. If you sell higher end product, there's more margin there. People will need your expertise. You can provide it. That's your value to the market. But when you're starting to sell, let's say, paintball guns, and you got to buy a pallet of paintball guns from China, which generally speaking, when you try to sell paintball guns that look like all the other sellers on Amazon, that doesn't work very well. At the very least, you got to take the paintball gun that everybody else is selling, put a new form factor on it to make it look unique, so you can put your own brand on there so that when they go to your site and they like it, later on, they're not going to go buy from somebody else because they're confused on who they even should buy from. Once you've actually gotten them educated on your product page, they're like, well, I can only get this one spot. To get 100 of them, you're going to need 30 grand up front for your first order. And that's just one SKU, right? So it's more expensive to get into. And so therefore it's usually cheaper / easier to get into services right away. But services is actually harder at the end of the day, because when you sell product, guess what? There's no sales process. Yes, you have to be good at copywriting and making a sales video and stuff like this. But a lot of people who try to run service campaigns that I run across at our agency, they don't know anything about doing phone sales. They get a form submission and they have no clue how to do phone sales. And they try to fix their problem by hiring somebody to do the sales, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. If you're really good at sales, making service sales with service leads is like shooting fish in a barrel, but that assumes you know what you're doing. Yeah, if you got 10 years of sales experience, you can take a sales lead and close it at a high rate and everything. If you're just getting started trying to do, even like getting leads for pest control, knowing how to close those leads at a high rate, that's actually not easy. So it looks easy on paper. Can you get a high closing rate? That's the question. Hamza, how do you think we can use AI in our best interest, and how is it going to help us in the near future? Well, you could be like one of those, I saw recently guys making a lot of money looking like a girl on camera. They have a guy and they have like an AI mask that turns them into a girl, and they get donations. That's a great, that's like a funny implementation of how people are using AI to make money. For the most part, people are using AI to just automate what was already there for the most part. In PPC, for the most part, what I use AI to do is take ad copy that's already working and make variants of it, slight tweaks that we can test. And, taking a long video and chopping it into shorts, for instance, is another thing that we use it a lot for. You can use AI to do basic keyword research or whatnot, but for the most part, it's way overhyped, at least at this stage. And marketing and advertising, it's hard to use AI to make you money because it'll get you a generic answer to anything, but generic is not what really crushes it. So if you're in a non-competitive market, you can get by with that maybe, but it's only going to take you so far. But those are the main ways that I use AI for the most part. And so therefore I don't use it much. And I don't just not use it much because I'm old or slow or whatever here. It's just very generic. And what results you're getting. Is it going to give you a good enough approach to make a website that can make you money if you're the only one in the niche doing it, or it's obvious that you have the best product in the market already? Yeah, it will. If you're in a competitive market and you need an edge, will it really do much for you? Not really. So I don't have a really great, fantastic answer for you. I mean, there's a lot of people that are better off telling you what you can do with AI. I just see a lot of people trying to use AI for too much. And as a result, their marketing is really mediocre. And the other one would be answering phone calls, which again, it's not a replacement for phone sales. It's not. It's great if you can't answer the phone to have AI answer it as a backup, or to replace a call center to answer the phone when you can't, like after hours and stuff like that. But, people are using it for too much right now. What you need to focus on, you guys, is figuring out what works manually. It's not a tool to do your work for you. Once you see something that works, you can use AI to automate it and take it to the next level. But you got to find out the basics of what works on your own first. And of course, long term, we're all dead from AI. It's going to take all of our jobs. It's just a matter of when. Everybody's scared about AI right now because of all the advancements in ChatGPT and stuff like this. The reality is, when you cut out all the hype, what's going to happen is 1% of jobs are going to get cut out every year. So doesn't sound like a lot, but in 20, 30 years, most of the jobs are going to be taken by AI. So, I mean, it's going to happen slowly, and then eventually it's just all gone, right? That's just, the AI is getting better, but it's going to take a long time to get the rest of the way to take out most of the jobs. And then people say, well, I'm going to be a plumber, or I'm going to be an electrician. Yeah, until humanized robots take over those jobs, which people can't imagine, for instance, a robot climbing in a crawl space to fix a pipe. But if you would have told somebody 10 years ago that ChatGPT would pass the Turing test and be able to do what it's doing now, nobody would have believed you. So, whereas it's overhyped on an overall basis right now, eventually it's going to eat everything. So I think the best thing to do is, like I said, to use your brain to figure out what works, and then try to use AI to cut costs, save money, to do the repetitive, to make small tweaks to what you're doing for testing purposes. That's where its main use, at least for right now, is. 15 and Eric. My average sale is like €30, and my begin checkout is set at €3. Do you think it's okay? Should we start reducing the begin checkout value? PS, ROAS, December 47%, January 87%. So it's great to see that your ROAS is increasing that much, which a lot of people would get impatient. Realistically, I mean, that kind of growth rate, you're going to be good in just a few months already. So I'd be careful in derailing everything and even making a change like you're suggesting. That said, if it's increasing on its own, I would probably just leave it. That said, if you do hit a roadblock and you want to be able to get things done a little bit better / easier, which for the most part, once you are in the game already, it's a little hard to switch out this, okay? Because you're going to potentially send everything back into learning mode. So therefore, I would really probably not change this. I really wouldn't. If you were starting out from scratch, or next time, let's say you run an account, you're going to want to figure out what the cart abandonment rate is, and then your average sale, and then take the average sale times the abandonment rate to find out what your default value should be for begin checkout. That's the real scientific way to do it. So again, right now, I would probably just leave it and just be counting your lucky stars, thanking the platform for giving you better results in 1 month, kind of an increase already. Someone special to you. One of the CSS 20% high ticket market that I'm looking at has a value of $2,000, but there aren't really any good upsells with it other than just offering the $10 consumables with it as a subscriber. What do I do with the funnel then? Okay, first of all, applaud to you that you're actually thinking about upsells, because the average consumer just thinks, where is the ad place I can run the ad next that's going to get me a sale at a cheaper rate. The people that make the big money know how to build upsell, cross-sell funnels. And they know how to milk a customer list for more sales on the back end, either through directly while they're checking out or once they bought, marketing more crap to them. That's where the real money's made. Unless you're selling like, there's some markets where you can't do it. But that said, for the most part, in markets where you are selling something for that price, upsells, cross-sells don't have to be there. And you can still make a pretty good chunk of money. Generally speaking, if I'm selling something for less than 500, if I can't do upsells, cross-sells, and stuff like that, it's almost like not worth it. That price point, I would probably say, well, I'll just focus on getting another customer. That said, one thing that also people don't think about a lot is partnering with other companies. What other companies that buy what you sell that would also buy, that they also have to buy, that you could then parlay the customer over and sell that customer to them, or sell what they have and then just outsource the fulfillment or whatever? That's something else I would potentially think about. Or just selling the contact name. For $10, I'll give you a list of, customers who buy same day, and then you can get a whack at them or whatever. So those are some ideas for you itself. People, though, overwhelmingly don't do nearly enough with one-click upsells on their checkout process. And they should. For the most part, if you're crazy, if you're not doing one-click upsells on an e-commerce site, for one. Second of all, people don't even do those very much to the level they should. You offer a one-click upsell. So if you're selling a side view mirror replacement for a person's car and they're going through checkout, you should be offering high-intensity lights because they're cool or whatever. And then if they say yes to that, it should be immediately, do you want to have a bra for your car? Oh, you do want that? How about? And because that's where the money is actually made. Then you just got to be able to break even on the initial thing. And the upsell is where all the money's being ratcheted up at. People don't usually think that way, though. They're just looking for the next customer always. Biz with Brady. I'm starting a digital marketing business in the field of shops, auto repair, engine builders, machine shops, etc. Because it's the world I know. Google Ads is my best skill set, so I figured I would start there. I built a successful small business before, but not in marketing. I just found you, by the way. Well, cool. Nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. You found the best channel on at least learning how to build ads. And a lot of people appreciate the business advice that I provide as well. I've worked in the auto space. The main thing so first of all, you should watch my videos about how to do PPC for mechanic shops. What I talk about primarily in my videos is in the auto mechanic space, there's a lot of crappy customers that come in that are like, oh, the car's making a squeaking noise. And then you have to come in and then diagnose it, which you could potentially charge money for up front, but it's hard to. And then you'd say, oh, you need a $600 repair. And then they're like, oh, okay, I'll think about it. And then you screw around a lot for a little. Or you could take the approach that what I always now recommend to my clients, which is to just sell brake jobs, shock replacement or strut replacement, oil changes, and tires, because those are straightforward things where the person knows about what the cost is. They know they cannot not do it. And when they're calling, there's no sales process. Yes, you're not making the margin on it as you would with a $2,000 engine rebuild or something like that. But at least you know what you got once they respond. And then you should just get good at taking that customer, making them happy, get the review. And then the next time they need the repair, they're going to come back to you. Whereas you just break even on the initial service, and then you're not going to have also people, by the way, on top of it, not paying their bill. If somebody gets a brake job, they're going to pay. Someone gets a $2,000 engine repair done. Yeah, you can hold their car, but they don't have the money. They don't have the money. So it's like playing the lottery when you go after people looking for like mechanic shop near me, even though it can be profitable if you know what you're doing. So those are your two options. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the base hits, the individual one-off services that you know people are willing to pay for and have money for. No sales process involved. And I would think I don't have a niche where I specialize. I haven't niched down in that space, but I'm pretty sure if you're trying to reach out to mechanic shops to close a bunch of them, you saying that you can get people love it, by the way, when you tell them how much a call is going to cost. Cuts out all the bullshit. When you tell them I can get an oil change call for $20, I can get a strut replacement call for $30, I can get a tire replacement job call for $35, it cuts out all the bullshit normally involved with explaining what PPC is and SEO is. They don't care ultimately at the end of the day. They need calls, and that cuts right to the chase. And they know what the value of those calls are going to be. It's not a matter of, I can get you an auto mechanic call for $20. Well, what kind of call is it? Is it the person that has money? Are they not going to have money? So that's my overall piece of advice I would give you there. And other than to say, if I were to start a marketing agency again today, I would probably just niche down. Back when I started in 2014, it's still a fairly new area of business to get into. That is pay-per-click ad management. And you didn't really have to niche down. Nowadays, it's pretty hard to make money not niching down. So picking a niche and then also being in a niche where you can speak the language of the business owner. I don't know how these other guys do it that have never ran a business before, that is talking to clients and selling them on marketing services when they don't know it about business. And business owners can't connect with you because you don't know anything about business. And then you end up making dumb mistakes because you don't understand how the PPC ties in with the business because you've never ran a business. When you understand that particular niche market and you could talk to them on their level, they're going to have a lot higher trust with you because you're like them. You're not just some pesky marketer who is trying to obviously sell them something and you don't sound like you know anything about their business at all. That makes a big difference. Okay, so this will be the last one before we wrap this up. Hamza, why brand keywords get landing page experience and expected CTR always get above average, and with other keywords is it not above average? Why? And how you make below average ad relevancy and experience CTR? Well, there's a lot there to unpack. So the main thing is brand keywords are going to get high experience, expected CTR because the brand, it's less competitive. So there's two kind of scales or factors that are going to determine what your expected CTR and landing page experience is going to be. One is competition. Two is the placement of that keyword within the ad and landing page. A lot of people don't consider the competition one, but that in and itself is probably 75% of the equation. They're going to see how many advertisers there are for that keyword. If there's not many and your keyword is in the ad, they're pretty much going to assume the click-through rate is going to be amazing because it is. And it statistically normally is, and they know that. And their system's programmed to recognize that. However, you start getting into the very competitive stuff, non-brand, it's a different story. You got to recognize that Google comes across ads all the time. Most ads and landing pages suck. I can tell you from experience, 90% of people who start running Google ads aren't going to be there 3 years from now. They started up, they're gleeful, they got it. thinking they're going to get rich. They think that they can spend 15 minutes setting up their ads and they're going to crush everybody in the market and make millions doing that, as if it were going to be that easy. Anything in that life that easy is not worth much. They get into it, they don't instantly get rich, and then they drop out. And they don't want to spend much time putting any effort into their ads, and they don't want to certainly hire anybody that knows what they're doing to set up the ads right. And when I say someone who knows what they're doing, I mean someone charging real money, not these people charging peanuts and telling you what you want to hear. So because of the reason why I bring this up is to say Google expects your ad to be bad by default. So you got to do something monumental for them to assume it's not going to be bad, because 90% of the ads they see are bad, or at least aren't going to do as good as the guys advertising consistently for years that are there already. Okay. That have made it through the gauntlet of all the, having to make it work and make it profitable, and the winners at the end of the day after all of it. So they're going to assume you're like the losing guys, because statistically you're going to be. And so they're going to assume your ad's not going to work great. And unless the keyword is in the ad and the landing page in several spots, they're going to assume, because it's not there very much, they're going to go with the default, which is it's not going to perform well until you prove them otherwise. And the ad, of course, gets the click-through rate and conversion rates that beat your competition. Then your quality score is going to go up. So to make the expected click-through rate and conversion rate high as possible, you want that keyword. First of all, use single keyword ad groups if you can. I use those on every campaign I build. Make sure that keyword then, because you're set up for this now, the keyword's in the headline at least once, the description at least once, and then on your landing page, ideally three times, one of which is either in the one of which should be in the headline, and one of which should be in the URL itself. And if you do that, your expected click-through rate and landing page experience score should be significantly higher. So that would be your way to get around it. And if you don't want to use single keyword ad groups, you're going to have to just run your ads for a while and let the system see it actually performs. That's what you're left with, what you're going to have to do. That's what everybody has to do. So, but with that said, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thank you guys for coming as usual. I'll be around next week, same time, for any other questions you didn't get asked today, or if you have any other questions between now and then. Thanks for coming. See you later.